Welcome back, everyone, again to another episode of the Nudge Right Talk podcast. It's been a while, it's been a minute, but I'm back. As for I was gone, you don't really care. So let's talk about today's episode or rant. I haven't really done much research on this one. I watched a document on inequality. This was in Germany. Yeah, inequality in Germany. I'll make a link to the documentary below. It was long though, 3 parts, so don't know if you can watch it, but be a smart person and watch it. So it was following this millionaire and how his daily life is to see why is there such a distinction or difference between the ultra rich and the poor. And throughout it, one of the themes that kept being reinforced and reinforced is that when persons amass wealth to the point that they're gonna pass it on for like 5 generations and it's still good, there comes a level of power that's attached to that money. And that is something that I believe we all need to understand. Money is the root of all evil, but I think the lack of money causes people to do some real evil shit too. Because the lack of money forces us to do some desperate shit. You be out there selling your mom's jewelry, stealing from relatives. Money is a vice. It is a vice for many people. And if you have it, it can make your life better. If you don't, your life gets really bad. But one of the things that this documentary highlighted was the fact that it's becoming harder and harder for persons without money to get to the level of attaining anything, to own anything in life. And that's a big problem. You go to school or you become a tradesman from young and you work for 40 somebody years in a job, grinding it through a business, and you retire and you have nothing to your name. Let's be honest, you have nothing. You still have a mortgage to pay, so that means you don't own your house. You're still leasing a car, so that means you don't actually own the car. Your phone that you bought it on a plan, so you have to pay a monthly subscription. All of these things, if you come to the point where you don't have, say, that pension or whatever form of income you have trickling in at that point, stops. All of these can be repossessed, and you can be out on the street in a tent, just hitting it up with the grasshoppers. I really don't know how the homeless be. But yes, there's this problem that we have. And I'm not going to focus so much on the wealthy people because I'm not wealthy. I would love to be wealthy. But I need to focus on what I can do to not fall into some of the traps that I believe persons with wealth and institutions have set up. And oh my God, the biggest blasted trap that we have fallen for is credit is king. Usually, once upon a time, it was cash is king. If you pay for it with cash, you own it. Boom, you don't own nobody. But now we've come up with this mentality that if you don't owe anyone, you're not anyone, as in you gotta get credit. This boy gotta know how you pay this back and whatnot. But when we look at it, I really don't feel Jeff Bezos' bankers care if he can pay them back. It is a given. It is a given. And they be buying shit cash. Yes, you could have said they probably would have leveraged some money earlier on. But let me get an understanding of what they leverage money from the banks. They probably leverage money to start up a business, to buy some real estate, to start an apartment scheme, something that was going to pay off money. People on the lower income and middle income they're leveraging money for vacations to Hawaii and to the Caribbean. You earn nothing from that? Or you're going to say, life is short, I gotta get these experiences. Read a book, my guy. We literally created books for you to learn shit that you couldn't experience. Read a book. You are broke. You are broke. I know today it may seem like I'm going ham, but I'm really not, my guy. I'm really not. We've we've been so conditioned to, as soon as we get a little cash, we need to go and buy a car. Something that depreciates instantly. And you don't just go and buy a second-hand car cash. No, you go and get this car on credit, my guy. You go and get yourself in the hole in debt. But you know what? You're flossing this car and you're feeling real jolly. But then you can't keep up with your rent payments because the car payment is stifling you. It is stifling. We need to be more strategic about how we spend our money. No, I'm not saying don't buy things you like with your hard-earned cash. By all means, it's your cash and you need to enjoy it. Because as everyone would say, life is short. You can't be both there hoarding your money and being greedy. Spend it on yourself, enjoy yourself. But we need to hit a balance between what you can afford and what you can't. So many times we extend ourselves, enabled by credit, to go and get the $500 bag when we know realistically we could only afford a $200 bag. But because it says, oh, you could pay us back over 15 months, you can go and get it. And it stops us then from getting stuff that truly acquires value, that truly builds wealth that we can pass on. So many people currently aren't going to be able to buy land and have a home to pass on to their kids. They're going to be renting forever. They're going to rent till they die. Their kids are probably going to have a shit time owning anything. Because the people who do have money now realize the value of real estate. I mean, for crying out loud, we got 8 billion and counting people on this planet. We need food, shelter, and water. Those commodities are becoming increasingly scarce. As such, the value is only going to go up. But you got too much poor people, poor in the financial literacy sense, because they don't know what to do with their money when they get it, that but here believing into these mainstreams of status symbols. I need a Mercedes Benz. I need a MacBook. I need Louis Vuitton. I need a Hermes. I need some other insert brand that doesn't mean shit. And you could get the idea of it. And we pass on nothing to our future generations besides debt from funeral. And in some bad cases, you sign up your bloody kid's name for some debt that you took out. I mean, what are we trying to do here? I remember I read a book called, it was an audio book. I'm bigging up myself. Thus Spake Zarathustra by Nietzsche. And in it, he said, man is a bridge and not a goal. And I really internalized that. And a lot of stuff from that book really is heavy in philosophy, but there's some things that even people like myself can pull out. But what I got from that is that we can always improve. As humans, as individuals, we should never stop from trying to achieve, never stop from trying to better ourselves and bring up those around us. At times, it can be very hard. You know, you just felt like you've been chipping away, and nothing happens. But just like running a marathon, the more you move forward, the less you have to get to the goal. And by gosh, when you look back at what you've done and what you've achieved, that in itself is a sense of accomplishment. And as hopefully parents and people guarding the future, we should try to make the path easier for those that come behind us. I'm not saying we're all going to be able to afford a mansion, but we should at least have a place that ourselves and our kin can lay down without having the worry that anyone is going to tell them, get the fuck out, rent is due. We shouldn't have to worry, about basic stuff like what is our phone being repossessed because of COVID times. What are we doing to safeguard ourselves? COVID should teach a lot of people to recognize their financial situation. And I remember I had an episode about this, financial independence and financial freedom. Are we evaluating our financial state? Are we thinking about how poor financial thinking is damaging our future selves and those who come after us? Because I mean, with medical care getting so much more expensive, it's becoming harder and harder to be poor. The poor have a lot of issues. You have bad diets because you can't afford to eat right. Why you can't afford to eat right? Because vegetables and fruits and stuff like that, perishables, are very expensive. You can't even afford land to build your house and have a backyard garden. Why? Land is expensive because you got more people, housing prices are up, and your grandparents and your parents unfortunately left nothing behind for you. Education, one of the best ways for social mobility, is becoming so darn expensive, my guy. And for what you're getting, it's really not that good. It is really not that good. So you're having a castration of all of these things to help you move up the economic ladder, the social scene, to make a better, to make you feel better about yourself, to help your family, right? And I'm not going to say that this is all on you, because some of these things have been perpetuated by people in power, you know. But I've figured out, well, I don't know if I've noticed that some people are crippled, just like how people can be crippled by debt. People are crippled by their circumstances, and they see no way out. And unfortunately, they look to politicians. No, we're not bashing politicians. There's some very good politicians that help people. However, teach a man how to fish instead of giving him a fish. We have this, they become so crippled that they have this hands out nature. Just give me, just give me. And whilst I may work once or twice, when they constantly have this just give me attitude instead of show me, guide me, and coach me, it is crippling. You then become a mindless slave, right? To help these, I'm gonna say, politicians or people in control, or the people that are giving you whatever they want to achieve. Because you're a slave to them, bro. You have given up your independence, your ability to earn, your ability to think for yourself, your ability to stand on your own 2 feet. You've just cast it away because you've decided it's too fucking hard. It is too hard, and that is the final nail in the coffin. No matter whatever your situation is, your circumstances, you can always better it. You can always see the good within it. I'm a very firm believer into the teachings of Stoicism, whereby we should condition ourselves and our emotions in times of good, so that when times of hardship come, we can better handle them. And I remember I was reading this book, The Daily Stoic, and one of the stories, or one of the teachings for that day, was recounting one of these slaves, one of these captives, slaves, may not have been much different, one of these captives of war, and he was placed in this dark room. He was tortured, poorly fed, he was starved. In the end, he did get out, you know, God thankfully. But he said in all of those moments, there was one thing that they couldn't get from him: the sliver of light that came through the crack. His ability to dream and to wonder, to imagine getting out of there. There's always something that you can hold on to help build yourself up. And my advice to anyone, I don't even know if I talked about inequality good enough in this episode, but my advice to anyone is to never see it as no light to the end of the tunnel. There's always an opportunity, there's always a way out. And even if the opportunity isn't only for you, meaning that you have to get someone to help you with the opportunity, grasp it, learn it, and push forward. Don't ever slip back into the situation you were in before you got this assistance. Don't ever slip back into the situation where you were before you got this assistance, before you got this shining light. Inequality, it is always increasing, is increasing by the second, and is increasing because we fail to realize it is increasing, and we fail to realize we can do something about it. We might not be able to get the millions as fast or close the gap as fast as theirs, expanding it, but we need to think about ourselves. How are we bettering ourselves and bettering our families and those around us? Because you don't want to be stagnant. We have too much stagnant people out there. And I don't know if you've ever seen stagnant water, but it's not good, bro. It needs to be thrown away. So don't ever be in the state that people can look at you as trash or something to be thrown away. Because then they can say, oh, let me recycle them. Let me repurpose them to my uses. And you lose all sense of freedom, all sense of hope, all ability to change your circumstance. And I'm here to tell you, you're better than this. You're better than those people that think they can abuse you. And as much as the inequality increases, that doesn't devalue who you are as a person. So take some time, do some introspection, and remember that you are a king or a queen and that you can rise above any circumstance. This has been another episode of the Nudge Right Talk podcast. Have a great day.